From all this madness was born this idea that we have a gender identity different than our sex, and that it's determined by the way you're raised, by nurture, not nature. And it says your gender identity is based on your personality, your job, hobbies, likes and dislikes, roles in society, and expectations upon you.
The audacity of a healthcare professional asking a child who do they like as a male or female, interjecting that idea into a kid's mind that may not have thought of that. Kids are so malleable in the mind.
We get Zoran Mamdani, a Muslim, who says he wants to spend $65 million a year of New York City taxpayer funds transitioning children from around the United States, making it a sanctuary city to maim and sterilize children. That's what Zoran Mamdani, a Muslim, campaigned on. He'll never do it to his own kids.
Right.
But he's just signaling to the extremist base of the Democrat Party that he's on board.
But I want to start with how I'll say this. I was incredibly impressed with you when I saw you at the ADF Summit, because I only know you as Billboard Chris, the guy with the freaking bread sign on him, and owning these nut jobs. Because the stuff that goes viral, the nut jobs that come up to you and say the most random thing, they haven't done not 1 ounce of research. But when I saw you on stage, I said, wait a minute, this dude is brilliant. No offense, but I was like, I thought, you own the libs, you got good responses, but I didn't realize how articulate and smart you were, how dedicated you were to the cause. Like, this was bigger than just doing social media, like most people do. You gave up a lot. And from what I know, you gave up a lot, dude. You were up here probably making a ton of money and successful, and everybody, they looking at you like you're the top 1%er, and you humbled yourself to say, I need to make a difference. And even if I have to wear this silly sign on me and talk to these nut jobs, that some of them are crazy. Some of them probably listen to you. But can you talk about that whole thing, dude? What did you do before you became Billboard Chris?
I had a real job. I was a financial advisor. So I did investments and insurance for almost 20 years, managing people's money mostly and doing financial planning and all that. And when you're in that job, you got to pay attention to everything going on in the world, right? Because if something happens in Iraq, it affects the price of oil in Canada, and we're all connected to everything going on. So for a long time, I'd been watching the world getting crazier and crazier. And it's not just my imagination. We've been going downhill. And then, you're just busy. You're living your life. I got married in 2006, and then we had our first daughter in 2009. And so you're just working, and you're just living. But once you become a parent, it's all about the legacy you leave for your kids, of course. It's all that matters. It's all that should matter. And I learned in 2019, I was just on Twitter doing my thing, and I came across this term, puberty blockers. And I thought, what the heck are puberty blockers? That does not sound good. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I started researching this, and like every normal person, my jaw hit the floor, because we've now gotten to a point in society where we're stopping the development of children. That's not okay under any circumstance. That is peak insanity is what it is. And why are we doing this? Because these children have been taught that they were born in the wrong body. What does that mean? Nobody can tell you, by the way, and I'll get into that. We can talk about all the street conversations and all that, but we have this epidemic primarily affecting girls, and I have 2 girls, and it's kind of like a cult, really, that's taken off all throughout society, pushed by governments, pushed by intergovernmental bodies like the UN, and it's in our education system. And of course, when something is in the education system, well, you got a serious problem, because now you're indoctrinating all these kids from kindergarten to grade 12, and really it's hitting its peak in academia.
Yeah, Chris, why? Like, because you've been engulfed in this, conversations with people all over our country, conversations with people in Canada, conversations with people on a large scale. Why are they doing this? That's one thing I can't wrap my mind around. What makes these people think it makes any sense whatsoever to treat children like that, to give them, to block natural puberty that God has created and a lot of these young people grow out of it when they go through puberty. So
Of
why are they
course.
doing it? Like, from your understanding and research, what is going on with this?
Okay, I'm going to get into this. It's a little bit of a long story, but I think it's important people understand the roots of this, because we talk a lot about the symptoms. We talk a lot about what's happening today in gender clinics, how kids are getting puberty blockers, they're getting the opposite sex's hormones, they're doing surgeries on kids. They are doing double mastectomies on girls as young as 12 years old in the United States of America. I have a video of a woman called Chase Strangio. She's now identifying as a man. She's from Kaiser Permanente in Oakland, California. The same clinic that did the double mastectomy on Chloe Cole when she was just 15. And Chloe's suing, and she's going to go to court next year. So hopefully she wins millions. But on video, this woman is admitting at Kaiser that they cut off the breast of a 12-year-old girl. And then we have insurance data showing up to 180 kids, 12 and a half or younger, have had this done. And then thousands of teenage girls under the age of 18 have had this done. And they're doing stuff to boys too. We'll get into some of that later. But the roots of this, fantastic question. Where's this coming from? This is honestly more than 100 years old. Now, in the modern era, this really took off in the 60s. But in the Weimar Republic, pre-Nazi era, right after World War I, a man named Magnus Hirschfeld opened the first, he called it an Institute for Sexual Science. And at this institute in the 20s, they did the first surgeries on men wanting to be women. The first man, his name was Dora Richter. And the gentleman who did this surgery, his name is Erwin Gorbant. He did an orchiectomy, which is castration, and then they do what's called a penile inversion. They invert the penis to form this neovagina, or it's a vaginoplasty. And the man who did that surgery went on to be one of the top surgeons for the Luftwaffe in World War II. He designed hypothermia experiments that killed Jews at the Dachau concentration camp. So you have some pretty inhumane people starting this business. And the second person that they did these surgeries on, they tried to implant a uterus into this man named Lily Elby. There's a movie about it called The Danish Girl. But he ended up dying. So literally the second person that they operated on died. But Magnus Hirschfeld, this man who did all this research into what he called transvestites, he actually coined that term. He was friends with a man named Harry Benjamin. Harry Benjamin is an American. And, you know, this business of trying to change the sex of people went away for a couple decades, but then it came back in the 60s, and Harry Benjamin was very prominent in this. He was friends with Magnus Hirschfeld, and he started the Harry Benjamin International Gender Dysphoria Association. And together with him and John Money and this guy named Robert Stoller, a psychiatrist at UCLA, this idea formed that we all have gender identities that might be different than our sex. So what the left is teaching today is that our gender is different than sex. Feminist studies in every university. All these young women are going to university and getting brainwashed, being taught that gender is separate from sex. Gender is a social construct. And what's it based on? Roles, stereotypes, things the left say are bad.
Right.
But then in their next breath, they say, oh, this child doesn't conform to stereotypes. We better try to change their sex because they're transgender. But ultimately, this comes down to gender roles. And in the 60s, there was a doctor called John Money at Johns Hopkins University who did an experiment on a little boy named David Reimer, who was a twin boy to a couple from Winnipeg, Manitoba. And at 8 months of age, these twin boys went to get circumcised. And they used this electrocautery device which malfunctioned, and it burned this little boy's penis right off. So these parents are, of course, devastated. They got this 8-month boy who just had that happen to him, and they somehow, on some late-night advert, saw this research that John Money was doing at Johns Hopkins University. And they contacted him, research into gender identity. And for John Money, this little boy was the ideal experiment, because what they decided to do was to raise this boy as a girl, not telling him he was a boy. They castrated him completely. They did surgery down there. They made him wear dresses, grew out his hair. And so you have his twin brother growing up as a boy, and now you have him being told that he's a girl. And every year, John Money would meet with these kids. He had them doing sexual things to each other.
What?
Literally. I know this sounds unreal, but people can look this up. There's a book written all about it. There's
When
a
you say
documentary on it.
sexual, you talking about kissing, or are you talking about sexual?
Acting out sexual play, like
Like
with each
foreplay
other.
or something like that. Kissing and
More.
intimacy. And
Like
more?
naked.
Naked? How
Yeah.
old were you kids?
They were just kids. This all started when he was a baby, and this went on. He would see them every year,
That's
and
insane.
this went on until he was 14, when his parents finally told him he was really a boy. But this entire time, John Money was essentially falsifying his research. He was saying that this was going fantastically, that David Reimer was... I forget what the girl's name that he took. He was originally called Bruce Reimer. Then they gave him a girl's name. But he falsified his research. And this caused this idea of gender identity to spread throughout academia. And they essentially believe, and it was Money's hypothesis, that it's nurture over nature that determines how you act out, what roles you naturally gravitate towards. And this experiment on this little boy failed miserably. He was bullied at school. He was not happy. As soon as he found out he was really a boy, he took the name David. And they tried to reconstruct the phallus for him. I mean, you can't do
Oh
that,
my
of
goodness,
course.
it's terrible.
But anyway, from all this madness was born this identity. From all this madness was born this idea that we have a gender identity different than our sex. And that it's determined by the way you're raised, by nurture, not nature. And so what they're essentially pushing, and this remains to this day, if you look at the most used resource, it's a cute little image of a gingerbread man called the genderbread person. And on there, it defines your gender identity. And this is honestly the most used resource in the world. It's used to teach nurses at children's hospitals about gender identity. And it says your gender identity is based on your personality, your job, hobbies, likes and dislikes, roles in society, and expectations upon you. So stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going to take a little boy who doesn't like playing football with the boys,
Yeah.
who maybe wants to read and bake with mom, and we're going to tell him he's a girl? That he's transgender? Yeah. What does transgender mean?
Yeah.
It's such an important question. The left, they like to conflate gay and trans, and they put all these letters together. LGBTQIA+, as if it's a community.
Right.
That is not a community. That's just a bunch of letters representing different things. It's representing gay people. It's representing transgenderism, a denial of reality. It's representing what they call intersex people. These are people with disorders of their sexual development. They're still all male or female. They even throw in asexual people there, people without a sex drive, as though there's some, oppressed minority. And in Canada, we started off with the 2S for two-spirit.
Oh, I saw that. What does that mean?
Honestly, it means in Indigenous communities in the past, there were gay men who were kind of treated differently.
Yeah.
That's all it means. It's always been about gay men.
Really?
Yes.
You think this whole thing is really either gay man's
the
lust?
the two-spirit never refers to women. It's always men who are effeminate in these Indigenous cultures, and so they didn't really fit in with the other men, and they were treated differently. But it's always just been gay men for that specifically. But what the left does is they conflate gay and trans, and they say anyone who speaks up against any of this is anti-LGBTQ. And what do those 5 letters do? They strike fear in the hearts of men.
Yeah.
And they cause us to be quiet. So we had this idea of gender identity starting in the 60s, throughout academia for decades, growing its roots. And we had simultaneously the gay rights movement, which in America really started in 68 or 69 with Stonewall in New York City, where it was a gay bar and it would get raided once in a while by the police because sodomy was a crime back then. But it was literally owned by the mafia, and they would pay off the police to leave them alone, but they would still raid them once in a while. And then there was a police raid, and a riot broke out. And it lasted for days, and someone even tried to burn the place down while police were inside of it. So the whole gay rights movement started out of violence, which we still see today from these activists on the left. And the first Gay Pride March was the 1-year anniversary of Stonewall in '69, and that has now spread all throughout the world. So we had the modern gay rights movement. And when were gay rights won all across the West? Really around 2010, 2015, they won gay marriage pretty much in all the Western countries. So now what happens? You've got all these NGOs, these gay rights organizations with billions of dollars. What are they going to do now? They just won. They got to spend that money. They got to keep the money coming in, keep everyone employed. So the new objective became trans rights. And they conflated trans with gay. And they do that to shut people up. But what they've done is they've taken really what is a mental illness, people with mental illnesses, people with a variety of psychiatric disorders often, and they've turned that into a civil rights movement that you can't question it. And everyone was quiet. A lot of the Christian pastors are quiet about this because, they lost the gay rights battle, the gay marriage battle, and they don't want to upset donors, and there's people in their church or whatever, so they're quiet about it. But they shouldn't be.
Right. They shouldn't be.
Because their job is to lead their flock.
Right.
And who is being harmed now by the trans rights movement? Ultimately, it's kids. So trans itself is a relatively meaningless term. No one can define it. I challenge everyone watching this, if you get into a conversation about this, ask the person to define it. They can't. They'll give you a circular definition. If they look at the dictionary, they might say, well, it's someone whose gender identity does not align with their sex assigned at birth. That would be the dictionary definition. But that itself is a circular definition. What's gender identity? Well, that's someone whose gender is different than their sex. Again, a circular definition. So now we're down to the root word. What is gender? This is the ultimate question. What is gender? We use this as a synonym for sex for a long time.
Right.
A more polite word, perhaps. But to the left, gender is something totally different. Yet they can't define it. I ask this question to people on the street all the time. So what I do is, I'm known as Billboard Chris. I actually got that nickname. I didn't give it to myself. But I put up a billboard in 2020 that said, I love J.K. Rowling. I heart J.K. Rowling. And I was inspired to do this by a woman in the UK who put up a sign at the Edinburgh train station that said the same thing. Her name's Kelly J. Keane. She put that poster up because, of course, J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter author, has spoken up for women, spoken against this child abuse, and people tried to cancel her for it. Of course, all she's done is get stronger. But that sign she put up was taken down 1 day later by the government-run train authority in Scotland because people on Twitter complained it was hate speech. And so this is now into 2020. I've been learning all about this child abuse going on. Up in Canada, where I'm from, people are getting fired from their jobs for acknowledging biological reality.
Really?
Just a week ago, a man was fined $750,000. He was a school trustee, lives about 45 minutes from me, because he objected to gender ideology in the schools. So it's taken almost 10 years. Someone complained about him. The Chilliwack Teachers Association complained about him to the Human Rights Tribunal. And after all these years, he was finally fined $750,000.
$750,000?
And for injury to dignity.
What?
And feelings.
What?
Literally.
How do they measure that? They just, the more upset they are with you, the higher the number is, or what? Or the type of person that you offend? I mean, what was he doing? A kid would come in and say, I'm trans, and he just wouldn't acknowledge it?
No. This wasn't about any communications with children or anyone. This was in his role as a school board member. We call them school trustees in Canada.
Oh, okay.
In his role as a school board member, he objected to gender identity ideology coming into schools. And so on social media, he has been outspoken against it.
That's crazy.
We don't have freedom of speech in Canada.
That's crazy.
We have these crazy leftist human rights tribunals which enforce the human rights code. And we should just abolish these tribunals. We don't need them. We already have courts for real crimes.
Right, right.
These are courts for thought police. And in their ruling, they literally said that to deny the existence of gender identities is an existential threat to transgender people. So you have to believe in gender identity is what they stated in their ruling.
Yeah, yeah.
So how I got started, this woman put up this great sign, it got taken down, and I got tired of our freedom of speech coming under attack. And when kids are being harmed, we need to have conversations about that. Mm-hmm. When kids are undergoing harm that we're seeing today, the greatest child abuse scandal in our lifetimes, we need to have a lot of conversations about it. Yes. Instead, they're all being shut down. So I couldn't believe what happened in the UK, so I put up a huge billboard in Vancouver, Canada, that said the same thing. On the side of the street, 30 feet wide, it said, "I love J.K. Rowling." And it also lasted just one day.
Really?
Because a Vancouver city councillor, her name is Sarah Kirby-Young, she ordered the sign company to take it down.
I love J.K. Rowling, which
hate speech.
Inevitably could mean anything. You can't love her work, which is incredible work. That is billions of people have probably watched Harry Potter, and literally went to Universal Studios not too long ago. They had a whole Harry Potter town.
It's the best. Yeah.
It's one of the so they assumed. I'm assuming they assumed that you were targeting this idea of transgenderism based on what J.K. Rowling has said about standing up for young children.
That's right. So our city council in Vancouver is extremely woke, and they, I guess, view that as a dog whistle for attacking transgender people. So they ordered it taken down, and I was not going to let them silence me. Mm. So let's put this in perspective. This is 2020. I'm just a normal guy. I've had a normal job, just trying to take care of my family. I don't really have a social media presence. I have no media exposure. I know nobody in this fight at all. But I decided when her sign got taken down in July 2020, I decided that's it. I'm going to die on this hill, and I'm going to, it sounds extremely arrogant. I'm going to take on the entire world and stop this child abuse, not just by myself, but how am I going to do it? I'm going to do it by educating one person at a time. Mm-hmm. And as I do that, I'm going to activate some of them, and they're going to start fighting. Mm. And as a financial advisor, I'm very familiar with the concept of compounding interest. Yeah. You start with $1, you double it, pretty soon you're at $1 million and $1 billion. It's the same with this. You start with just a few people talking about this, and at the time there were maybe 5 conservative men in the world with any prominence on social media talking about this. No one was. Mm. The whole conservative movement in the U.S. was basically quiet about this.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson in 2020, 2021 especially, when Joe Biden took office, Tucker Carlson was great talking about this, and Matt Walsh was great. There were a few other guys. But everyone was quiet about it. And so I thought, well, let's wake some people up and make this a movement. And a lot of people have been involved in this. It's obviously not just me. It's a lot of people. But today, this is the number one cultural movement fighting back against leftist insanity in the United States and worldwide. And it's on the airwaves every single day, and people are learning more and more. So I followed up that billboard in Vancouver with several in the United States, one in Los Angeles, one in San Francisco the week after, Portland, Utah, all throughout the metro in D.C., and then Times Square.
Oh, yeah, that's the big dog.
So these were all September 2020, and all the billboards in the great United States of America stayed up.
Oh, yeah. It's great. Thank God we still have freedom here.
That's right. Founding fathers knew what they were doing with that First Amendment.
How much did it, how did you, because billboards aren't free, so how did you go about, paying for all those billboards, and how long did you keep each one of them up? Was it like a month subscription to it, or Was it something that you left up in perpetuity?
Yeah, somewhere just a week. In Vancouver, I wanted it up for perpetuity. I'd signed a 3-month contract. I think it was $3,000 a month, but it only lasted a day. I had to fight for like a month to get a refund. But
Oh,
I did
yeah,
get my money
they
back.
didn't want to give you a refund. Yeah.
I had to fight for it. Yeah,
And then in America,
I
how
literally
long?
had to tell them I'm going to have people standing outside your headquarters tomorrow morning protesting if I don't get my money back, because it took a month, and then they had to check in the mail that day. But yeah, anyway, so I put up these billboards, right? That was how I was starting conversations, and then I can't even do that in Canada, and so I did a bunch throughout the U.S., and then I ran out of money. And what am I going to do? I'm not going to let them silence me.
Right.
That has to be our attitude. You cannot let any obstacle get in your way. And so I did the only thing I could do. I had some signs made, and instead of holding them all day, I just wear them. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I know I look completely ridiculous. And these are normally, crazy people walking around as a human sandwich board,
Yeah.
preaching the end of the world is near or something.
Yeah.
They're not all crazy. Lots of good guys doing lots of stuff. But yeah, I had these signs made, and I went outside and I started talking to people. And I wasn't recording anything. It wasn't for social media. I might take a picture and post it.
Really?
But I was literally just talking to people. Mainly, I wanted to talk to parents so I could educate them so they could protect their own kids, because parents had no idea what was now in our school system.
Yeah.
And there are parents being blindsided all over the world where their kids are getting indoctrinated online or at school or just in the culture, even playing video games, talking to people on the other side of the world. So I was just trying to educate these parents. And I had faith that one conversation at a time, we would put a stop to this child abuse. I had faith that good things would happen, that good people would come along. And I'm, of course, right. There's tons of good people out there who don't want this to happen. And so now we have a lot of people fighting back, and we're going to win. But it takes a while.
100%. I had a young lady yesterday. A guy actually gave me the ARS code, which is the Arizona Revised Statutes code for parental protection. Because I was in Tucson last night, and a lady asked me a question: what could she do? Because she took her kid to the hospital for some reason. I don't know what she took her there for, but they asked her a series of questions. Do you feel safe at home and stuff like that? And then I think she was like, the young girl was a little, maybe a little upset or something like that. And they asked, do you like boys or do you like girls? They started going down that weird path. And she found out about it, obviously, because her daughter mentioned it to her. But she was like, what can I do as a parent? And like, there is a Arizona Revised Statute, which is it's like the penal code or the law book in the state of Arizona that actually protects parents from that. And I didn't even know that. And so a gentleman in the room came up and showed us a statue and gave it to the woman so she can fight back against this. But the audacity of a healthcare professional asking a child who do they like as a male or female, interjecting that idea into a kid's mind that may not have thought of that. A kid is just upset with their parents or something of that nature. They're not thinking about, do I really? And the thing is that kids are so malleable in the mind that as you lead them in the right direction, that's the direction they believe. But what they're doing is they're trying to interject this other thought that this is possible, right? It's almost like at the Garden of Eden when Satan says, you will not surely die, giving doubt in a possibility to eating a forbidden fruit that God told them not to partake in. But he's trying to give them that, because I think Adam and Eve knew it wasn't an option. They could not eat the forbidden fruit. It wasn't even an option. It wasn't even considered. But the devil comes along and say, but maybe it is. And I think that's what happened to young people because they see so much stuff. If you raise them right, they see it as, I'm a woman, I'm going to marry a man, this is my family situation that I have, this is reasonableness. But then the devil comes along and go, but you could actually like a woman. Have you ever thought about it? You get what I'm saying?
100%.
And then it just gets them down this weird path and they begin to, well, maybe I do.
Yes,
So.
Children's minds are extremely malleable, and like Satan in the Garden of Eden, they're trying to create doubt, but they're also driving a wedge. So he tried to drive a wedge between Adam and Eve and God, and they're trying to drive a wedge today between children and their parents, saying your parents don't understand. They're dinosaurs. We've just started to understand gender identity the last decade or two. And the reason there weren't so many transgender people in the past was because they didn't feel comfortable coming out, right? They use all the same arguments all the time.
Do you think this is about men? Because I know you mentioned it. That may not have been your point, but it made me think about something. Is this really about gay men? Like, are they the ones concocting these ideas and pushing? Is it, or is it just a mentality thing that's equally dispersed between male and female, but it's a leftist thing? Or is it like men who are perverse, who are enthusiastic about creating an environment like this?
So trans itself, it is a relatively meaningless term, but there are several subcategories under that. So there's what's going on with kids right now, mostly girls. And these kids who say they're trans, a lot of research has been done. Research has been done for decades. The older research into what was called gender dysphoria showed that the vast majority of these kids outgrew it when they went through puberty. It was almost always boys. The most recent study before they started giving these kids drugs showed that 87.8% of these boys outgrew it. Puberty was the cure.
Duh.
For their gender dysphoria. Duh. And now we block the cure.
Yeah.
This is called iatrogenic harm, to use fancy medical language. It's where the doctors are actually causing the harm. They're actually creating it. But a majority of those kids actually grew up to be gay, according to those older studies. Now, what's happening today, you have what's happening with these kids, and according to all the systematic reviews. So the gold standard in medicine is called a systematic review, where they look at all the peer-reviewed research, all the scientific literature, and these reviews have now been done in Sweden, the UK, a report called the Cass report by Hilary Cass. The US, the HHS did one. It's fantastic. Even Canada have done some, a few other countries. But all of these reports show the same thing. There's no evidence that this is helping kids. The evidence is either non-existent or extremely low quality. So what are they doing? There's so much to talk about here. So anyway, there's what's going on with the kids. What these reviews have found is, in England, for example, 70% of the children at the gender clinic had 5 or more coexisting mental health comorbidities. Autism, not that this is necessarily a mental health issue, but a majority of these kids, in my experience from talking to people all over the world, majority of these kids have autism. The Cass review found 35%, or not even the Cass review, the Tavistock, the gender clinic in the UK, found 35% of the kids had moderate to severe autism. That doesn't include the mild cases. There's a law firm out of Texas. 4 dads started it. It's called Campbell Miller Payne. They're now suing for these young people who've been harmed. They all left their previous law firms. They're all Christian men. They got like 18, 19 kids between them. Wow. And they just felt a calling to sue for these kids.
Do you think autism is playing a bigger role than what is there any research that explains that? What about autism is autism causing kids to be susceptible to this, or does autism cause kids to be confused about their gender?
Susceptible, because they're not fitting in. They're feeling different. Yeah. They're misfits. They're not in the friend groups. And then what happens is this LGBTQ club at school, where they go at lunch or they go after school, these sex and gender clubs, whatever they're called, they're indoctrinating these kids. They're saying, well, the reason you're unhappy is because you're trans and that's not being recognized. You were born in the wrong body. So, man, there's too many things here. But that law firm I was talking about, when I last spoke with them earlier this year, they were looking at 150 different cases, and in almost every case, these kids had autism. So there's autism, there's ADHD. In a majority of these cases, there's sexual abuse. The former president of the American College of Pediatricians, Dr. Quentin Van Meter, tells me he thinks it's about 60%. But the systematic reviews show this as well. The systematic review in England showed that these children at the gender clinics, their parents were 10 times more likely to be sex offenders.
Really?
Kids in foster care are way overrepresented. Brandon, where I'm from in British Columbia, kind of the epicenter for this, really, in the world. It's so crazy. There's a psychologist named Dr. Wallace Wong, who worked for the BC Ministry of Children and Family Development as a government-paid psychologist. He gave a talk at the Vancouver Library 6, 7, 8 years ago where he said he was personally transitioning more than 1,000 kids, including more than 500 in state care.
That's crazy.
We only have 6,000 kids in state care in BC. One government psychologist was transitioning 500 of them. And in BC, 68% of kids in state care are Indigenous, by the way. So this is typically a white person problem, to be perfectly honest with you. It's almost always white kids. But it's vulnerable kids. It's kids who've had trauma. It's kids who, in a majority of cases, their father's not in the home. Not shocking at all.
Right.
Of course. An older study showed 52% of the mothers themselves had borderline personality disorder, compared to just 6% of the population. So you have these Munchausen moms, we call them, that are pushing this on kids in a lot of these cases. You've got Hollywood. Look at Hollywood. How many of these Hollywood stars
All their
now
kids
have
are trans.
a whole bunch of kids that say they're trans? Yeah.
I mean, every kid trans. I forget the one lady, she's walking down the street, I see the picture of her, and I think she got 3 trans kids. What are the odds that all 3 of your kids are trans? That's manipulation. So, Chris, are we just stupid? Like, are humans stupid or they're evil? Like, what we're saying or the remedy is obvious. If you went to the animal kingdom and you saw a female chimpanzee or, the male and female chimpanzee, and then the male was just missing from the equation and the female had to fend for herself, that you could tell that that's not going to go as well as nature intended. The same thing happened to humans. What are we thinking? God made a man and a woman be able to have a child, so they both need to equally be involved in raising and protecting a child and having community. Like, that's intelligence 101. We know that when you look at a kid and a kid is confused, or if a kid come to you, we don't have to be doctors. A kid comes in here and they're trans, they all look the same. They all seem that something is off. If you're a medical professional, you should be able to deduce that immediately. Like, okay, there's a trend here. This kid is autism. These kids are being abused. Every friend that I know that's homosexual have been sexually abused. Every single one. I don't know a single person that have not been sexually abused that's actually living a homosexual lifestyle. I know people that are bisexual that haven't been abused, and I think they just freaky. You know what I mean? They just want both of them. They want to play. But every single person I know that's gay has some type of sexual abuse or overexposure when they were young. We're not doctors. This is clear.
So I've had, I don't know how many thousand conversations on the street, 10, 20,000 more. And I end up talking to a lot of gay men too. And you're right. They tell me that all the time. Not always, never on camera.
Yeah.
They don't.
Right.
If people are being polite with me and they don't want to be on camera, I don't post it.
Right.
So I've got thousands of those conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very common for sure. And that's something you're not allowed to say, Brandon.
Right.
But
they don't
anyway.
want. But that's the thing. They don't want to. And it's crazy because that's a very hard thing for a guy to admit to. That I was sexually assaulted by another man, or I had sexual relationships with another man. It's like some of the things that men would want to go to their grave with, because it emasculates men in the eyes of ignorant people. Or a man feels emasculated without anybody judging him because of what happened, because that's not supposed to happen that way. And therefore, they don't say anything. But then if you say something on their behalf, you're now judging, because you'll never see them push the statistic or even acknowledge it.
Right.
How many people have been abused sexually that are gay? What percentage? They'll tell you, oh, it don't matter. No, it does matter, because there is a correlation between sexual abuse. Like, I'm going to give you a perfect example. One of my really good friends, he's a pastor, and he struggles with homosexuality. Now, he doesn't live a homosexual lifestyle, but the urge to be with men is not lost on him, right? I think he still struggled with it. What did he tell me happened to him? When he was younger, his first intimate relationship was with his cousin who sexually assaulted him, manipulated him. It wasn't a hold him down, rape him. It was a slow manipulation. And he had the cousins had sex with him and would do it when he come over the house. But then he experienced rejection from the cousin after having an intimate experience. So now he's had that experience. His only intimacy was with a man, so now his attraction is to a man. But then the rejection from a man causes him to have I'm gonna say a conflict, not a conflict, but it's the word will come to me in a minute. A complex. That's what I'm looking for. But I think that happens a lot often when people, give credit to. And why are we not trying to help people instead of forcing them into this lifestyle?
Yeah, childhood sexual abuse is one of the worst things that can ever happen to a child. And we don't really even know all the ways that it's messing them up, for sure. But with this trans craze, yes, it's prevalent in tons of these cases, not just the girls, the boys too. And I was talking about these different subcategories under this trans umbrella. You have now what's going on with kids, what's going on with the adult population, with the women. A lot of them have just been abused. The lesbian population, a lot of them are transitioning. We don't need to get into all of that, but it's decimating that population for sure. They can't even go to one of their own bars anymore without men in it. So some of them are speaking up, but a lot of them are pushing this still. In the gay community, there's a split on the trans issue. The ones who are educated about this support what I'm doing. The ones who are not are generally the only men that I ever have to worry about. When I see a big, strong dude walking down the street, I never worry about him assaulting me or anything.
Right.
The only men really that ever have a problem with me are gay men. And they're just confused. They don't understand this issue. And they don't understand that historically, and even today, according to the systematic reviews, a lot of these kids grow up to be gay. And the whole gay issue, I mean, that's a separate conversation in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But we want to love everybody, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, there is some tie in there, but this is also a homophobic movement because you do have these kids that would grow up to be gay who are now being told they're trans, and they're going through actual conversion therapy. So in Iran, for example, it's illegal for men to be gay. It's punishable by death. But the first Ayatollah Khomeini, he said that it was okay to be trans. So in Iran, you have all the gay men transitioning to stay alive. 10 years ago on the Iranian national men's soccer team, or on the Iranian national women's soccer team, they had 8 men.
I don't mean to laugh, but this
It's okay, you can laugh. It's funny.
So ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So that's happening in Iran.
Iran.
Where you'll get killed if you're gay. We do this here in the West, and we call it love and compassion.
Yeah.
But with the adult male population who say they're trans, especially these middle-aged guys.
Yeah, that's a weird...
You get really effeminate men who are really gay, who are just gay, who maybe feel like they can't be gay, so they'll transition, similar to what's going on in Iran. But then you get straight men in middle age who have a paraphilia, a sexual perversion.
Yeah, I think that's a lot. That's what's
and
happening.
They have a condition called autogynephilia. So this breaks down to 3 root words. Auto, self.
Yeah.
Gyno, woman, and philia is love. So it's loving oneself as a woman. They literally are attracted to themselves as a woman. They get off on it. And these are why a lot of women are really, and the feminists, the radical feminists, they probably make up 5% of the whole feminist community. And they're leftist on everything else. But they're with us on this one issue of gender because they have these men coming into their spaces.
Yeah.
And these men, they're not gay men. They are just perverts.
Yes.
And they now have an excuse
Yes.
to go into any woman's facility. They're going into women's rape shelters.
What?
There is a man where I'm from. He's one of these guys. His name's Morgaine Auger. I forget his real name, Rowan, I think. He campaigned for this women's shelter called Vancouver Rape Relief. He campaigned for them to be defunded. No more funding from the city of Vancouver. Why? Because they wouldn't allow men into the rape shelter. And they did defund them. Brandon, This man received the Order of Canada,
What?
the highest honor you can receive. He received the Order of Canada for
What?
his work promoting transgenderism, for his work destroying women's rights.
But here's the thing, Chris. Some of these women are just as guilty because they don't stand up against it. They let it happen in some cases because they are too afraid to be painted with a broad brush. What are you thinking? Like women in sports. I mean, I blame the men first.
Yet,
But these men in women's sports, why is women competing with these men? Like, aren't they just say, all right, you swim by yourself. All the women stop. All the female coaches. I mean, women will cry themselves to sleep at night, bickering at men because they don't treat them fairly in sports. But they will accept a man who is wearing woman's face. Because, like you said, Leah Thomas in America, that fool that was swimming. Like, this is so perverted, it's crazy to me. Leah Thomas, or I don't know his real name. William, he swam as a man, was getting his head beat every time, and then he goes and be a woman and is like number one. But he still is attracted to women. Now, that's the craziest sugar honey iced tea I ever heard in my life because you cannot tell me that a man, and I play sports, and I wasn't a Christian my whole life. You cannot tell me that you're attracted to women and you go into a female locker room where women are getting naked in front of you and that doesn't arouse you whatsoever. You cannot tell me that. And these women, many of them are good looking and they're in the best shape of their lives.
of course.
And every man that's straight would die to see them naked. I'm just being honest. And you telling me that you guys accepted, and not the women, but the dummies that are in charge, accepted a person who is attracted to women, who is taking his pants down and eyeballing women while they're getting undressed. They're telling you they're uncomfortable, and you do nothing. It's crazy to me.
Absolutely. The vast majority of the hate I get comes from women.
Really?
Yes, 9 out of 10 times on the street, the verbal abuse I get is from young white women.
Is it because they're mad you're a man saying it, or you think they would hate other women who are doing it?
No, they think I'm a bigot because they're young and they've been indoctrinated by our society and universities.
But are they mentally ill? I'm being honest. Like, is there a correlation between them being mentally ill, which makes them susceptible to this foolery? It's like when you talk to them, Chris, they know that what they're saying is stupid. As soon as you say it to them and you ask them, well, what about this? And they don't have an answer, and they freeze up and you go, well, what is a woman? And then they have to, unless they're narcissists, they have to realize internally, like, oh shoot, I'm stuck. Like, I'm kind of looking stupid right now.
Yes, that's what happens. So asking questions is super valuable, and I'll get into some tactics for people.
Yeah, that's good.
But before I forget, and I'm going to come right back to this, you asked, is this driven by men? What happened really leading up to this craze is that you have these autogynephilic men, these men with paraphilias, it's a sexual perversion, and they're not passing as women because they're men. They've got deep voices, they've got big, broad shoulders, they're 6 feet tall. And so this idea came about that because they're not passing as the opposite sex, what they need to do and what they pushed for, well, we need to block puberty in children so that they won't have the problem that we're having as adults. And every single leftist human rights organization and all of these medical bodies went along with it. Because the objective, the reason they give puberty blockers, if I were to steelman their argument, they would say, well, it would be too traumatic if this child grows up and can't pass. It's all about passing. They have to keep them looking neutral. So the boy doesn't get a deep voice, and the girl doesn't get, womanly hips and breasts. It stops all these things from happening. And then they give them the opposite sex's hormones. As children, they're giving 13-year-old girls testosterone in male levels. They naturally have maybe 5% of testosterone. They're giving our levels of testosterone when we were 15 years old to girls.
Yeah. They're going crazy.
They're playing God with children's bodies.
Right. And they're going crazy.
Yes.
Young 15-year-old boys naturally progressing in testosterone in their body and stuff. They have emotional ups and downs, and they it's like it's a lot of work. The body is trying to adjust to puberty and
but we're meant to have that.
Right.
Even then, men naturally, they're more aggressive and everything. Well, this is designed for a reason. Evolutionary biology, creation, whatever. Yeah, men are the hunters. Men are the protectors. Men need the testosterone. We're built to handle it. Women aren't.
Right.
And what these drugs are doing, puberty blockers combined with cross-sex hormones, are sterilizing children. They will never be able to have a family. So they start puberty blockers. They give these puberty blockers to kids at what's called Tanner stage 2. That's the scientific term for the beginning of puberty, when you first get your pubic hair. So 10, 11, 12, they're blocking puberty in these kids. Brandon, they're 10. 10. They were in diapers 7 years ago.
Yeah.
They know nothing about the world. They know nothing about the importance of having a family, how much you're going to want to have a family.
Right.
They know nothing about the greatest love in your life, which is having your own children and family.
Right.
And they're putting this decision on kids. This is why my sign that I wear on my front says children cannot consent to puberty blockers. They cannot give informed consent to this.
Right.
It's impossible. They can't understand what they're signing up for.
Right.
We had all these leaked documents a couple years ago. My friend Mia Hughes from Ottawa actually wrote the paper on the WPATH files. She was working for Michael Schellenberger at the time. And these are leaked documents from all these trans health professionals, leaked videos, leaked emails. They admit to all of this. They admit they're sterilizing kids. They admit that testosterone in these girls is causing cancer. There's this one email from a doctor who said that this woman developed hepatocarcinomas, liver cancer. And she died shortly after. She was in her 20s. It's causing heart problems. It's causing problems with organs. It's, for all we know at this point, causing IQ drops. We have some preliminary data on that. We also have a study done on sheep that showed cognitive impairment. But they're sterilizing kids, all because of this idea that the child was born wrong. What does that mean?
Yeah.
How can you be born in the wrong body? What body are you supposed to be in?
Right.
It's such a nonsensical thing.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be in your body? What makes it that you're born wrong? Oh, you're a girl who likes to play football with the boys, who likes to climb trees, who doesn't want to wear dresses. You are like 70% of girls growing up, because most women grew up as tomboys, actually.
Yeah. My mom was a tomboy.
Guess what? It's fun.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more fun to play outside than play with Barbies all day long.
Or you have brothers.
Yeah, whatever.
Or you want to be like dad.
We have these trans health professionals. I use their own words against them all the time. From Boston Children's Hospital, what really kicked off the movement in the U.S., one of the significant turning points were these videos I tweeted out from Boston Children's Hospital. And thankfully, Libs of TikTok and Matt Walsh helped retweet them for me and made them go super viral. But this first video I tweeted out was how they're doing gender-affirming hysterectomies at Boston Children's Hospital. Gender-affirming hysterectomy, where they cut out your womb at a children's hospital.
What? That's so risky. That's such a risky surgery
And
for
sometimes,
nothing.
Yeah, and sometimes they do oophorectomies as well, which is where they cut out their ovaries. So now they're not producing estrogen for the rest of their life, as they should be. They're sending teenage girls into menopause, which has 100 side effects of its own.
Right.
Why? Why are they doing this again? Because the girl has probably had sexual abuse, has had trauma, doesn't have a father in the home, has autism, has all these things going on. And they ignore all those things. And they say the real problem is your body's wrong. So we're going to cut off your body parts and we're going to sterilize you. That's what passes as love. from the left.
Do they really believe that?
Yes, because why? You asked me, are these people just stupid or are they evil? Are all these young women who give me a hard time all the time out on the street, wherever I go, or I go to university campuses a lot, and it's almost all young women. I spoke with Turning Point at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo in California. There was a counter protest of about 400 students, almost all women. They put on a drag show just to counter protest. And this drag performer, I brought Chloe Cole with me, walked up to her and shook his fake boobs in her face. A young woman who, as a girl, had hers cut off. That's evil.
Evil.
Are the 300 or 400 young women in attendance all evil? No. They're just young women, but they've been lied to. They've been indoctrinated. And they've been told that if you don't transition kids, the kids are going to kill themselves.
Yeah, I
It's
heard
the number one thing every time. Yeah. And all these parents are told this by the doctors at the hospitals. They are literally told, it's like a set speech that they all say.
Yeah.
You can have a dead daughter or a trans son. Well, no one wants their child to die.
Right.
This is the worst form of coercion to get parents to go along with harming their kid. And why do they say that kids are going to kill themselves? It's not true, and I can prove it. But they say that because it's the only way you can justify this child abuse.
Right. You rather them abuse the child and the child kill themselves.
And then the second argument they say is puberty blockers are reversible.
Which is a lie.
It's a lie. Because there is a window of time in life where you go through puberty.
Right.
When you were in your 20s, you didn't keep growing.
Right.
Puberty was over. If you block puberty in a child from 12 to 17, puberty's done with. These boys end up with a micropenis for life. And I don't want to get too graphic, but people need to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
These boys end up with a micropenis for life. It's the size that it was when they were 11 or 12.
That's crazy.
And then they want to get the surgery done, where they do this penile inversion. But they don't have enough tissue. There's not enough material to work with. So they will cut out some of this boy's or young man's colon or some of his peritoneum, the lining of your abdominal cavity. They'll use that to graft in to form the lining of this neovagina.
That you have to keep dilated. I saw that for life. I saw a girl that regretted it, I guess, and her mom was, and it was just child abuse. Her mom is like encouraging her. Well, I think it was a boy. So
that's a boy.
I think it was a boy, but it looked like a girl. Mom is encouraging the boy to keep, to do the whole thing.
Yeah, he wasn't dilating it enough.
Yeah, and he was crying
Jazz.
Jazz
Jennings.
He was crying on a thing, he was crying on a thing because it was like, he has to do this for the rest of his life, and it's painful, and it's infections, and
she said, if you don't do it, I will wake you up and I will dilate that thing for you.
Right? Like how crazy? Like
she's a crazy mom. So she's one of these moms that pushed it on her son. Jazz was 3 when they started this.
That's you should go to jail for that.
And a symbol of the sickness of our society is that his transition was celebrated on a reality show called I Am Jazz.
Right.
On TLC for what, 10, 12 seasons?
Yeah.
Won awards. As people applaud and cheered. Them trying to turn a boy into a girl, harming him for life, sterilized. He'll never have an orgasm.
Which is terrible.
Yeah, I don't like talking about this all the time, but it's true.
Yeah.
The former president, he's just left. There's a new president-elect for WPATH, the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. So Marcy Bowers was this guy's name. He says he's a woman. He's done 2,000 vaginoplasties. He's delivered 2,000 babies. This is his claim to fame. But he was involved in vaginoplasty on Jazz Jennings. When Jazz was still 17, he was a minor. But president of WPATH, Marcy Bowers, he admits in a Zoom call that I tweet out this video all the time, that literally none of the boys given puberty blockers at Tanner Stage 2 have ever had an orgasm as an adult. He says it's literally 0. So they are destroying the future adult sexual function of 11-year-olds.
That's crazy.
Who can't even understand what it means. And he says, what do we do? He starts spitballing, Brandon. He says, what do we do? Do we delay the puberty blockers so some puberty can occur? Do we take them off puberty blockers for a while and let some puberty resume? It's a mystery. But intimacy is important in relationships, he says. I know this from my work with female genital mutilation survivors. That's what he says. As he's doing female genital mutilation, promoting it through his organization.
Is it money? Could
It's
money
not
be
money.
like
These
how
people are true believers. So yes, there's money.
how could they be so like I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't have God or consciousness. I don't understand because you would think at some point after doing this a while, your consciousness kick in and you go, kind of look like we made a mistake. Well, maybe some good doctors do turn. And they go, well, I think we made a mistake. Even if they're in good faith, they thought they were doing the right thing. At least at this point. And here's the scary part, Chris. The next generation of people are not adults yet in whom they're damaging. We saw this crazy spike in violence from transgender people who are on these drugs, who are like the guy who killed his, I don't know if he's one of those probably weirdos that is perverse. The guy in Canada that
My
went
province.
that went to the hockey rink and killed his family.
Well, the hockey rink was that Maine or Rhode Island? Rhode Island.
No, hold on. Am I
The
mixing
one in
these up?
no, the one in Canada.
Am I mixing this
Jesse
up?
Strang, who the media is calling Jesse Van Rootselaar.
Oh no, this is the one where the guy slit the throat of the kids. Is this the one you were talking about? Or am I mixing
The
these
one
up?
I'm talking about is he used a gun in BC.
Who's the guy who was the guy that maybe that wasn't in Canada? The guy who went to the hockey ring and shot up his family.
Yeah, that was in Rhode Island.
That was in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there something like that happened there was a shooting at a school?
There was a shooting at a school in BC.
BC, okay. And then there was that other crazy guy in Canada that cut the throats of his
Oh,
kids.
yes.
That one too. So there's another one you're saying that there was a gun involved.
So yeah, that guy he's currently on the loose.
In a van. Is this the guy? Are we talking about the van
Yeah,
guy?
he's in a van that says
Protect children or
every
something?
child matters or something.
What did
And
he actually do? Because I don't think we got the
So he
real...
stabbed his two children. They were 7 and 8 years old. He stabbed his daughter in the throat, severing her esophagus. She didn't die, but she had to be on a feeding tube for months. And he stabbed his 8-year-old boy as well. I think in the shoulder or something.
Do we know how he did it?
He's totally crazy.
Yeah.
And so he got put right away into a psychiatric ward, whatever unit somewhere. He got put right away into the psychiatric ward and then released 2 days later. And he went home and he was live streaming video games while his daughter's in the hospital with a severed esophagus. He didn't have to pay any bail. He was just released pending sentencing. Well, that was over a year ago. He's still walking around and he's releasing videos saying, I shouldn't be out here.
Right.
I'm crazy. I'm a danger. And I get people coming up to me, he says. They want to challenge me or confront me. And he says, what are you doing? I'm unstable. I'm a danger to society. He knows this, yet he's been walking free in Canada, in Alberta, and BC sometimes, for more than a year. And one of my followers just sent me video last week. He was giving tarot card readings in the park, and young girls were coming up to him.
What?
So she actually scared them off. She showed them what he's done, and they ran away. But
What's their excuse? He committed a crime, a heinous crime, admitted to it.
and he knows that he's a danger to society, and he's still walking around.
Three components. He committed the crime, he admitted to it, and he's admitting that he shouldn't be free. He is self-admitting that. What in the are they doing? They don't want to be stigmatized for putting him in jail?
I guess, I mean, so this is the thing, and this is why this fight is going to take so long. Sometimes there's talk of woke being dead and that we've kind of won this battle. We are not even close to winning. We've made so many great strides under President Trump in America. And I was at the speech where Trump first mentioned he was going to stop the chemical castration of children and get men out of women's sports. It was CPAC in 2023. And I think he's talked about it in every speech since, because that night in that 1.5-hour speech, that was the biggest ovation he received. And he's commented how he'll be talking to farmers in Idaho. And the biggest applause is when he says he's going to stop the chemical castration of children, even more than the economy and immigration.
Really?
Because they're coming for our kids, man.
Yeah.
They're hurting our kids.
Yeah.
I care about my kids more than my bank account.
Right. Right.
Honestly, I care about my neighbor's kids more than my bank account. Normal humans do. If kids are being threatened and are under attack, and they are from this ideology, we got to protect them. But anyway, there's been so much progress stopping the child abuse in these gender clinics in the U.S. So I think about 26 or 27 states now, all Republican, have banned this.
Yep.
None of the Democrat states will ban it. But under the Trump administration, because of his executive order pulling federal funding from hospitals, because of the Center for Medicaid and Medicare under Dr. Oz now, who's a convert, by the way, because he used to push this trans kid thing on his show.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Oh, he had interviewed one of them, I think.
Yes, he had this as a subject, and he was promoting it, and it was a beautiful thing. So he's a convert.
Wow.
But they're pulling Medicaid funding from any hospital, any clinic engaged in sex rejecting procedures. It's not just that they won't fund the procedures or drugs. They'll pull all their funding for everything.
Yeah.
So now we have all these hospitals shutting down, even in blue states. Like New York City last week, NYU Langone shut down their gender clinic.
Wow.
There are other places to get it done. But that's important because we get Zoran Mamdani, a Muslim, who says he wants to spend $65 million a year of New York City taxpayer funds transitioning children from around the United States, making it a sanctuary city to maim and sterilize children. That's what Zoran Mamdani, a Muslim, campaigned on. He'll never do it to his own kids.
Right.
But he's just signaling to the extremist base of the Democrat Party that he's on board, because the Democrats have been completely hijacked by all the extremists in their party.
Do you think this is going to hurt them in the midterms?
This is the single biggest issue for swing voters.
Really?
We know that from the presidential election. More than the economy, immigration, border, the biggest issue for swing voters who could have gone to Kamala Harris was that Trump was going to stop the transgender insanity.
You think, I often wonder, because you see the nut jobs that are out here just talking crazy. I wonder how many people are actually aware that this is even happening.
Well, that's one of the challenges with this, is it's so crazy, people think it's not happening. So,
because it sounds so crazy that people are easily able to object it by saying, no, that's not happening. They're not hurting these kids. They're not transitioning 10-year-olds or giving them, whatever, castration drugs or drugs that will hurt them forever. But then you know what's weird, Chris, is that young women, like the young woman that you mentioned that was transitioned and she recovered, she's suing. I forget her name. Chloe. That when Chloe comes out and say, I was hurt by this, they shun her. The same activists that claim they care about trans kids will shun Chloe for saying, I believe that was they manipulated me. We need to look into what they're doing to other kids like me. And they shame her. Trump, I think he mentioned her at one of the State of the Union addresses. I think he did. And the Democrats didn't stand.
Oh, he mentioned another young woman that was there. Chloe was at the State of the Union.
She was at the other State of the Union, was she?
Chloe was there, but there was another girl as well who also detransitioned, and the state had taken her from her parents because that's happening.
You know how crazy that is? I think I think I might go to prison over that. If somehow somebody did that and was like, I'm going to take your kid away from you and transition them, and I'm not trying to promote violence, but there is no way I will let that happen. You're gonna take my child and do something. I am here to protect my child with my life. I will protect my country with my life. You best believe I will protect my own child. I couldn't imagine my innocent son being removed from me and forced drugs and chemicals and manipulation. I will die on that hill. Well, no, I'm not gonna die. You're gonna die on that hill. You take my kid, you will die on that hill, and I will stand on your dead body on top of that hill.
Yeah, I'm going Thanos style, and I'll take out half the universe before you harm my kids. And that's what we're supposed to be like, by the way, because it was our family first.
Yeah, I think that maybe we'll see and I'm not I'm not promoting violence.
Of course,
if they should be terrified to speak to your kid when the parents are not there.
Yeah.
They should be, at the thought of transitioning your child without your knowledge or consent, they should be in fear.
But every single child protective services agency with now a few exceptions because of the progress we've made in the US, they're all on the side of the transgender movement. And this is what I'm talking about when we have so much work to do. These activists with billions of dollars behind them. So you talked about money, and I said it's not money. So this is a nuanced conversation like all things in life. People like there to be easy solutions for big problems. They say, why is it? Is it the money? Is it that they're all getting rich? Well, sure, these surgeons are making lots of money. But these surgeons are going to make lots of money doing anything. They don't have to do this to have a full schedule.
There's always stuff for them to do.
And the people at these clinics in the children's hospitals, they could go into any specialty. They chose this work because they believe in it. This is like a religion. I call it a cult. It's the cult of gender. And we have a whole lot of true believers out there. They're in academia, they're in our hospitals, they're in the judiciary. And we have these activists going into every single facet of our society, including Child Protective Services. They're training the judiciary about this. The UN pushes this. The WHO pushes this. Every leftist government in the world pushes this. It has been the largest PSYOP sustained over decades in history. COVID, unprecedented, but it died. This isn't even close to dying. They're still pushing it. At the UN, they still don't know what a woman is. I'm going to be in New York City in a week and a half for the whole week at the UN. I've got a pass. I'm speaking at a couple events. I'm going to ask a whole lot of people in the UN what a woman is and see what happens. But they are still pushing this. I spoke at the UN Human Rights Council a couple years ago in Geneva. And what I discovered there is what I discovered everywhere, is that it's always a minority pushing this, and everyone else just goes quiet. The United Nations is all the countries in the world. So most of these countries aren't down with this. All the Muslim countries. I met with the representative of Kuwait. I met with the representative of the Pope at the UN. He was disappointing. He agreed with everything I said. I went to his residence in Geneva. He agreed with everything I said, of course. But he's one of these guys, you talk to him for an hour, and he's nodding his head, and he's going, yeah, that's bad. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we need to stop that. Yep. But it's just like, yeah, that's really bad, and it's not my problem. It's your problem, man.
Yeah.
And we had this nice talk, and I educated him like I do, hoping this leads to good things. And we took a picture, and I didn't post it to social media because he didn't want me to, which I saw as a red flag right there. You should want that, actually. I'm trying to protect kids.
Yeah.
You're representing the Catholic Church.
Say that again?
I took a picture with him,
Yeah.
and he didn't want me to post it to social media.
Because of you being you?
Because of me being me. Yeah. But we had a nice talk, and I'm not going to push these things, right? It's fine. He's a diplomat. He's in a weird role because he's a clergyman. He's a priest. And he went into this to be a Catholic priest, and then one day he gets tapped on the shoulder for a diplomatic role at the UN. It's a very weird job for them, really. But I get it, so I'm not going to push. And then the next day I went to the World Health Organization in Geneva, got kicked out of there. I didn't go inside. I just got kicked out from, like, the parking area. And I took a picture in front of there with this guy named Giorgio from the Alliance Defending Freedom. And the next day I gave my speech, and I posted in a reply to my own tweet that actually underneath that picture of the World Health Organization, I posted that I'd met with the representative of the Holy See, whatever his exact title was. And then the next day after my speech at the UN, I get a text message from his representative saying, can you please take that post down? They didn't even want to acknowledge that I was meeting with the representative of the Pope. That this is cowardice, Brandon.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is a good topic to wrap on. Is this cowardice from the freaking church? That makes me more upset than any of these leftists. How are you a man of God, reading your Bible, should have discernment and connection with God, and you are too much of a puss, forgive my language, for you to stand up for children who are being abused? You don't need to be that smart to say this is wrong, and I'm going to stand on biblical principle. These wusses in religion is so embarrassing to me, and I despise them more than anybody, because you have the power and authority to change this, but you're too much of a wussy. And Christian churches in America are falling for the same thing. These churches won't even talk about this. Why? Because they're afraid they're going to lose members. Church is not about members. Church is about preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, and the people who convert is God's business, not ours. We just supposed to tell the truth. But these wusses in clergy, billions of dollars going through the church. They ask you for your tithes and offering because you're building the kingdom, and they're too much of a wuss to talk about any major issue. It bothers me the most.
Jack Hibbs talks about him, and look at his church.
Yeah.
Booming.
Right.
Beautiful. We are called to tell the truth.
Right.
Male and female, he created them. It's in the very first book of the Bible for anyone who's confused. This isn't complicated. And there's a millstone for all these people who won't stand up for kids. Yet, you're absolutely right. Very rare will a pastor talk about this. The Catholic Church is failing epically. I know the existing Pope has made a few statements. Not good enough.
No, they're watered down.
This is the greatest child abuse scandal of our lives. It's not 18 kids being harmed. It's tens of thousands. The New York Times reported a few years ago 300,000 children between the age of 13 and 17 believe they're transgender. Tens of thousands of kids have been given these puberty blockers and hormones. There have been more than 10,000 surgeries on children just in the United States. And this is still raging all over the world. And it's in every facet of our society. It's in academia, and it's in all our schools. And teachers can still teach it with impunity. So until we get this out of schools and out of academia, this is never going to go away. Because this isn't a fad. Like bell bottoms.
Right.
Like hairstyles. This is something pushed by the most powerful organizations in the world, and it's in our academic system. So until we get it out of there, it's never going to go away. It might reach peaks and valleys, but it's not going away anytime soon. So we got to keep the pressure on. And Brandon, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it, because we're going to reach millions of people here. And for all those watching, it's on us to stop this, because we've seen all the evidence for years now. The people in power, they're not going to do it. It's really up to the moms and dads and the regular people to speak up about this. Because the one thing politicians fear more than anything else is not getting reelected.
Right.
So we got to make that clear to them, and we got to keep speaking up. We got to keep educating people one conversation at a time.
Ladies and gentlemen, a man that's more than a billboard. We call you Billboard Chris. I'm glad that people had a chance to get to know you a little bit. We have to do this again. I got to get you back down. We got to do a part 2, because we got more things to talk about. And people need to hear this. You know, you've convinced me or inspired me more than ever that maybe we need to talk about this a little more, because I think people were afraid on YouTube because they'll ban you if you're doing that. But right now, they're not banning this type of stuff on YouTube. They're not really, they're allowing people to talk about these things freely. And even somebody like myself, I'm convicted. We need to address these things. Like I need to interview the young lady. I'm terrible with names.
Chloe. Clementine's another one I talked to.
Clementine. I met both of them too when I was in DC one time. So we need to, I want to interview Chloe. I know you probably have her contact. Yeah. We need to like make this a bigger deal. You know, I think that, you know, the Epstein files are bad and whatever, but I think this is, I would say, just as bad or worse, because
this is way bigger.
Yeah.
Yes, many children were affected by him. This is affecting tens of thousands of children.
Right.
Destroying their fertility. When we talk about this, it's good to have something positive to say, because most people don't like complaining.
Yeah.
So I always say our children are beautiful just as they are. No drugs or scalpels needed.
Right.
And there's no right or wrong way to be a boy or a girl.
Right.
The left can't even disagree with that.
Right.
You know? I get their heads to spin when I say that, because they don't know what to say. They don't want to actually have a conversation. They want to win a conversation.
Right.
And I'm not there to do that. I'm there to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But we are winning, and we're going to keep winning. My other thing I say all the time is there are 2 sexes, 0 genders, and infinite personalities.
I love that.
because that just sums us all up. And I should probably say, if anyone wants to support me, I did open a nonprofit in the United States.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So
just real quick.
It's just to stop this child abuse in the States, also all over the world. So it's the We Speak Truth Foundation.
We Speak Truth Foundation.
Yeah, people can go to WeSpeakTruth.com, read some resources, learn about this, and if they want to support me, they can do so through there, and they'll get a tax deduction for it.
Yeah, and we'll put the link in the description section so people will have it, and we'll probably try to pop a QR code on there so people can scan it if you're watching this on television. But I think it's incredible. We're going to donate and support because we support the cause, man. We need to work together. All of us working together will be how we're going to fix this thing. And money is a part of it, too. People get all weird with money. You need money for everything. These dummies out here are putting their money to castrate and harm children and push that agenda. Why are we so, and I'm just saying, if the people are like, why are we so afraid to support financially when they're not afraid? We got to do it on every front. Social, in person, tell a friend, help a friend's kids, donate and support organizations that are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, they've got billions of dollars, but we have something they'll never have. We have the truth.
That's right.
And truth spreads for free. So we're going to keep spreading it. Of course, money helps.
Billboard Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show. For everybody that's watching this that are members, we're going to do a quick Q&A. I want to do something special for our members to ask you some questions that we didn't get a chance to touch on the show, some that are a little more personal in nature. So if you're watching this, hop on over to the members only section. We're going to ask Billboard Chris a couple questions. Y'all don't put too many questions in there, all right? But we'll ask him a couple questions, and feel free to answer them however you want to answer them. So if you're watching this, jump on over. If not, make sure you like, subscribe. Go follow Billboard Chris. We'll put all of his social media in the comment section, the nonprofit in the comment section. God bless you guys. God bless America. We'll see you on the member side.